And we're back. We're live for the final day after show of 2023. Hard to believe that we've done like 80 of these this year. But it's been a hell of a time, and we're excited to be here to talk about our second voyage to space from this past weekend at Hampton. Kev, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I was able to catch my flight yesterday on United against all odds, flying out of Norfolk to O'Hare, catching a connector to Denver, and it actually worked out. There was a window there where there were multiple people in our crew that perhaps were resigned to spending the day in the Norfolk airport, but we did get out of there, was able to get some rest and some hydration in me yesterday. So I'm aces, man. I feel like $100.
We're feeling great. Yeah, we had quite the adventure after the show on Saturday night. Me, you, and Dee. We all had flights around 6 a.m. And who knew that Norfolk at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday was such a travel hub? It was packed.
Not just Sunday, but 5:30 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah, really couldn't believe how busy it was. But glad we got through. And you know what? I'm very glad we had the super early flight. Seeing a lot of people get stuck at the airport with delays due to the weather later in the day yesterday made me feel good. But, I slept last night, which was lovely. I'm here in Mexico now with my family, which is, there are worse places to recuperate from shows.
Clean clothes, another 24 hours of hair growth upwards and onwards.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And I believe we might be joined by Mr. Danny Rosewoods in a few minutes here. He's just running a little bit behind schedule.
He's currently parked in an elevator.
Yes, he is. But we're gonna dive into Saturday night's show here, night 2 of Goosemas. We had the 2 planets that we visited on Saturday night were the bubble planet called Porphyria and a neon jungle planet named Vividora. We have not heard the proper pronunciation of those yet, but I hope I did it right. Kev has a new accessory. For those of you listening after the fact, you can't see it here. I would suggest going and checking out the video. But Kev, would you like to introduce your friend here on the pod?
Well, just a special guest, a little foreshadowing of what's to come for the rest of this year. Of course, there's a monumental undertaking just around the corner here, and we have a special guest in the studio over at Kev's house promoting the Jotty bracket for 2023. Yes. So thank you, Rick, for showing up. We appreciate your time and being here, Jotty. And thanks to Mike Morowski for the Jotty slap.
Yeah, thank you to Katie Morowski who made the slaps. As Mike said, he comes up with the idea randomly in the middle of a conversation, and Katie actually makes the stickers.
Katie's the production team.
Yes, Katie gets it done. That's an organized couple right there. Very impressive. Noah Ray, we're going to talk about the bracket a little bit later, but no, this year's bracket will not be allowing sandwiches or segues. And it's much easier to prevent that based on our seating process this year. I hadn't even thought about that. And then Brian Brinkman texted me this morning and was like, I can't believe that you changed the seating process to make it easier for you to not allow me to put sandwiches and segues in. And I was like, I didn't think about that, but that's a nice fringe benefit.
Yeah, and especially for those of us that are participating in the bracket for the first time, you'll find out that Ryan actually makes it more difficult year over year to participate. Yeah,
we need the people who are really committed. I'm just kidding. We want everybody to participate, but we're gonna talk about how to get involved in the bracket after we talk about Saturday night's show. So stick around for that. But we're gonna talk about the show here, and night 2. I think before we talk about the show, we need to talk about the weather in Hampton, Virginia on Saturday, because
it's fucking gorgeous.
Was it beautiful?
Holy moly! Yeah,
and he's here. He's not parked in an elevator anymore.
Yeah, the elevator let him out. Yeah,
boys.
Danny Rosewoods.
What's up, dogs?
How's it going, dudes?
Dogs. Do they have dogs
you guys just
in the jungle?
Enjoying talking. I got this lion dog up here for the jungle set. So.
Nice. Well, we were just about to talk a little bit about the weather on Saturday and how absolutely beautiful it was in the afternoon. I participated in the Conscious Together cacao ceremony outside the venue. Nice grassy space. We had a circle. It was lovely. Really cool thing to do on the day of a show. But just being in the sun, shorts and a t-shirt, just like enjoying being outside after being in the Canadian winter for the last little while, felt really, really good. And I just loved the fact that I could wear shorts to a show in December. Big change. We were talking about big change from last year's Goosemas, where we were in Colorado, and it was like the North Pole.
Did one leg feel colder than the other?
No, it felt pretty good. Felt pretty good.
You were just prepping. You were prepping for Mexico too. You were getting
exactly.
ready and
nice easing the transition in from Toronto to Mexico. Now it's hot. But it's lovely. It's lovely. What about you guys? How did you guys find the day on Saturday?
I enjoyed it. Took it relatively easy after first night and sort of was regrouping, and was able to miraculously have a late checkout 3 hours after the checkout, so that set us up well, and then got to land in Kevin Happ's room, and then potted, and before we all kind of regrouped and walked down. So it was just a continuation, I think, of the day before, where walk down to the lot, hang out with everyone, building up to the energy of night 2. We still kind of were surmising about what the other themes could be, what the planets and the sort of focus could be for each of the sets. So yeah, it was good. I think just really, really happy to be in some nice weather and see everybody.
Yeah. You did leave out one detail about what happened pre-pod.
Well, I was actually going to address that real quick. The luggage wasn't the only thing that D dropped off when he came in. That aside, I spent the day recovering at a local establishment native to Hampton. I'm not sure y'all have heard of it, called Hooters. And was able to get some recovery happening that way.
Yep.
Well, speaking of Hooters, I guess since you brought it up, we have a message in the chat here from Came to Play. When is a good time to talk about how Vickers assumed the host stand at Hooters on Friday night? Can we get a hashtag? Can we get a hashtag host Vickers in the chat, please? That's
imagine the surprise on the dude's face as walking into that place and you see Vickers.
Well, this is why people are tuning into this podcast right now for commentary about luggage being dropped off and Vickers at Hooters. But this is really why people are here.
Well, we're here to talk about local places, so I mean, you can't skip Hooters.
It's true. We can't skip Vickers.
Yeah.
Hashtag skip Vickers. So we made it in. We had a little bit of a different approach in our crew for the Saturday night show. Friday night we all tried to get Loge Peter's side. We had a great vibe there. Saturday night, some of us were Loge. We were first row, like kind of dead facing on the lights. Some of us were on the floor. I think most of us kind of ended up migrating down to the floor late first set and for the second set. But we kind of wanted that, higher up view, at least initially. Not that Kev needed any sort of elevation to get a better view of the lights.
I was just happy to assist in making sure that the people that wanted to stand there were able to stand there. Helping out the team.
Every person.
Every man. Yeah, it was good. I thought the getting in Saturday was a little more difficult. Maybe just kind of it seemed a little bit more of a hang up. We kind of were there even probably before, similar spot in line, but just getting in and stuff. And but yeah, once in the building, nice and easy, good build up before the show, nice crew, like you said, sort of had people spread around, and it was just a continuation off of the night before. Everyone was really happy, I think, to be in there, and good energy and a great atmosphere. So super excited.
People were really excited pre-show again. We night one, we didn't know what we didn't know about the themes really going into it. We knew going into Saturday's show, kind of what was going on. We were looking at the stage setup, trying to guess. I think a lot of us, or I at least thought the stage set looked a little bit more like coral.
Mushroom bubbles.
Yeah. Or something like that. but it was Bubbles for the first set here, which was a really cool theme. Let's run through the set list really quick. We got Pancakes, Doobie Song, Circles, 99 Red Balloons, and Pancakes. Let's start with this pancake sandwich here. I thought the Pancakes jam was really good initially. I think the three of us, we were standing together. I think we were all a little bit confused at the segue into Doobie there. Weird placement for the song. Felt like kind of cut the Pancakes jam a little bit short.
And usually you end up like smoking a doobie and then wanting pancakes, right? Like,
right. So, maybe it should have gone the other way. Maybe it should have gone the other way.
I thought the same thing too. I think that was sort of an ongoing theme maybe throughout, with some of the covers that took over transitions out of songs that were places for jams, or maybe even continuations of the jam, like a little bit later in the show. I thought we sort of had a couple songs that just kind of kept the vibe going a little bit better of the preceding songs, the originals.
Mm-hmm.
The Pancakes as well. Yeah, a little surprising with the Doobie transition. Both sort of it's a very cool down song, so maybe like a little later in a show or something. So that was kind of surprising. And then you got the Post Malone cover after, and then 99 Red Balloons I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
great energy when the drums took off and the balloons started popping around in the bouncing around, pardon, on the floor, and that was cool. That was cool, and then bringing it all back. But yeah, it was a good opening segment. I think it was nice they kind of completed the Pancakes as well. That
mm-hmm.
gave me a little bit more satisfaction, I thought.
Yeah, I'd like to see both of those covers stick around in rotation. I think I'm really not someone who enjoys Post Malone, and I loved Goose covering Post Malone. Which was cool. I've heard the song before, being in a society where a lot of people love Post Malone. But I loved their cover of it. 99 Red Balloons was really, really cool. Familiar with that song. A lot of people were really excited about it. Special shout out to friend of the pod, Garrett, who was calling that song All of Europe Tour. Really, really wanted it. So
Germany,
he was especially excited when they kicked that off on Saturday night.
I saw somebody else. Oh, go ahead, Kev, please, sir.
I was just going to say, personally, it's been brought up a few times, but we're constantly new fans coming into the scene, and the band is constantly projecting who they are and what they like based on these cover choices. So even if particularly, Ryan, that Post Malone cover doesn't hit you, I guarantee there are a couple other, at least a couple other people that were like, holy shit, they covered Post Malone. I'm going to see what else this band does. And I think that is you might look at this show as holistically and say, holy shit, that's a lot of covers, which it was. But again, at the same time, you're projecting out to other people that possibly haven't seen the band before, first night, second night, whatever it is, that they're able to kind of get a feel for what this band is, what their musical interests are, and hopefully kind of prods them to dig a little further into the catalog to see what else is there.
Yeah, amazing. Very well put. Community Kev over here. Always finger on the pulse of what the people are saying. Yeah, it's a good point about that. There are a lot of covers, and we've seen some chatter online about, why were there so many covers? We had 5 covers on night one, and we had 8 covers on Saturday. And I do think, it may have been a couple too many. I think that the show may have been better served if there were a couple more originals, or if some of the jams had a little bit more time to breathe instead of segueing into a covers. I would say later in the first set was when it was a little bit, like, wow, these are a lot of covers. After Pancakes, we get Big Blue, Vampire Weekend, into Dripfield, Redbird, and I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. I would say Big Blue, definitely a song that I'm sure we know Goose are huge fans of Vampire Weekend, and so I'm sure that was like a personal choice more than like this one would fit the theme better than other songs. I think this was like, we want to play this Vampire Weekend song, and they sounded great doing it. But I would say at that point, it was like, throw that few minutes onto either the Pancakes or the Drip, give it a little bit more room. But this Drip was phenomenal. Dripfield is, Goose's arena song. This song was made for the arenas. And after seeing, my last 3 Dripfields were in tiny European clubs, going back to this huge arena thing, and with Getty's insane light rig being, dead on Saturday night, seeing this happen was absolutely phenomenal. This jam was great. They pivoted into this like high speed Amazing peak, nice piano work from Peter here. And man, it was just, it was phenomenal. It's good to see, continuation from fall tour, Dripfield breaking the mold relatively quickly again, not taking, 17 minutes kind of to break out of the drip form and go somewhere. So it was really, really good. Came to play Dropping Knowledge in the chat. The same band that wrote Dripfield also wrote Butter Rum.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Many people don't know this. Yeah, many people don't know this. Thanks for pointing that out. Goose did, in fact, write Butter Rum in addition to Dripfield. That's correct.
Yeah. Then after Drip, we get, a hot Redbird, Straight Burden into I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, which was super, super fun.
Go Hammers.
Shout out to the West Ham fans. I was made aware that this was a sports thing.
Hams.
Yep. So it was, I agree. Going back, I'd be curious to look at the lyrics for, was it Big Blue? Mm-hmm. Something Blue. And if there is a reference to Circles, Bubbles. But yeah, the Dripfield was coming, at some point throughout the weekend. I agree. I think getting the debut back at Mohegan for Goose Miss, right? That was the first live performance of it. So I think it just sort of, it does fit. It's a song that is really sort of captures the ability, that transition for them. We saw, the encore too was one that just sort of embodies the ability to play a large space. And it was, I agree. I sort of had a little bit of conflicting feelings throughout, with just like, man, I wish they could get into these songs a little better. The Redbird sort of at the end. Same thing. Thought I found some good themes. Was always good to get that Redbird with the fam and sort of be able to experience the song itself. And with everyone, I ran down to the floor for that at the end of first. And it was nice. The access throughout the venue, bathrooms,
so smooth.
Beverages. It was really nice to just be able to sort of run and within a minute or two kind of capture some other friends. I mean, there are friends everywhere, of course, but
yes.
And then the bubbles, blowing bubbles was really surprising. So I'm a big soccer fan, so that was kind of fun. And I know we got a West Ham fan in our crew, and Chris Mads. So that was great. Good end of the first, and vibes kept flowing.
Yeah. We have a great. Before you go, Kev, we have an amazing comment from the chat here that I wanted to highlight here from P Chase. I think with these end of year celebration shows, the thought is you had 82 other opportunities to see a regular Goose show in 2023. We're doing what we want to for these two. That's a great point. These shows, and especially with the themes, themes.
Themes.
We had themes.
The Me's. Yeah, the Me's.
Yeah. Yes. I think
Me's.
There was a good, I believe it was Jeff, good friend of the pod, Captain Incredible, said it sort of felt like a quasi Halloween and New Year's show in combination,
sure.
With the covers and the themes
and the
of the two shows,
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yep. And, we ended up, as we saw later on, we didn't get any Christmas references, songs, teases. So it was really more, they took that theme. We saw the Goose Miss in space, and then just didn't even sort of, we were thinking, but maybe there was going to be some Christmas references or a song. I know.
And to your point, to your point, it was a tough fantasy night for a lot of us. Like, Ryan, how did you?
I egged on Saturday.
I hit one song each show.
Yeah.
I got my 1 point Arcadia night too. So
there you go. See, and Brendan, another friend of the pod, Brendan goes, I'm shocked that the only time I heard Linus and Lucy all weekend was in the in the airport on the way out. So, but I think it was fitting, and set 2 was a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah,
overall,
it was great. Set break again, vibes were super high. We were curious what the theme was going to be, and all the songs during set break were jungle themed. So we kind of knew what was coming. And I think that's when the speculation started, like we were pretty sure we were going to be getting that Autumn Crossing, that Traveler's Elmeg. Kev is very aware of what the subject of Elmeg is about. It's about a tree.
It's about one man's love for a tree, and as long as the tree consents, it's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, surprised we didn't get that. But even with the jungle theme, they come out of the gate with Jungle by ELO. And we get a nice little jam in here. That there's some really great pockets of improvisation in this set. Nothing that has the length or depth really necessary to get into the bracket, but definitely some moments I really want to go back to, in the future, and some, amazing cover choices in this set. I mentioned, Big Blue especially being like a kind of puzzling choice in the first set, but I thought all of the covers in the second set here were phenomenal. I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
No question. Jungle themes.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, I have no issue with them doing this. Somebody said, I think you posted it, Ryan, that, they're going to do what they want for these two shows. And again, I go back to like, that place is so big. And somebody made another comment in there like, hey, my non-Goose, I don't know if it was their sister or whoever, dug all the covers for the night. But I think like that's, and this is just my own experience, but when I started casually listening to Goose in like summer of 2019, it wasn't until I started hearing some of their covers where like if my obsession, if you will, started to really sort of snowball with them, where I'm like,
sure.
Holy shit, they're going to cover Santos and Johnny Sleepwalk back in October of 2019. I don't remember if that was Wilkes-Barre or one of those other Northeast stops there. But that is what sort of sparked, was the catalyst for me, like really falling in love with these guys.
Yeah. We have Drew Bevan, a question from the chat. Was the Mayor house music between sets them messing with us?
That was so the neon.
The jungle, it was a neon jungle theme based on what the band released along with the Borfs. So they played Neon by John Mayer at set break. So it was not, in fact, them messing with us. But I guess they do read our tweets where we joke about who was going to sit in at Hampton. But we're not there yet. We go from jungle into animal. Obviously fitting with the theme. Phenomenal segue here. This was great. Thank you, Kev. And then Echo, Run Through the Jungle. Echo. This was great too. The Echo into Run Through the Jungle. Another amazing segue. As soon as they shifted into the Chugel, we started strapping in, and I kind of figured like a Chugel song, it's not going to be Green River, even though that would kind of fit the jungle theme, but Run Through the Jungle seemed right there, and it was so good. They crushed this cover. Obviously Rick sounds so good singing CCR tunes. Peter on guitar alongside him in that Chugel motif. We hear that in Green River, we hear that in Writing a Novel, we hear that in Elizabeth. It just fits their sound so well. And this was a surprising jam vehicle for me. I figured this was going to be similar to when we see them play Green River, where it's just like nice guitar solo, a little shreddy, strapping in again. But this one got spacey, Peter hitting that like reverbed out vintage vibe, and just a really, really amazing few minutes of jamming on the back half of this before the conclusion of Echo. But what do you guys think the first half, this second set here?
I loved it. Going back to the jungle opener, I got to listen to this whole set on the way my drive down to Chicago today, and I thought the jungle itself was really cool. The last 5 minutes before the transition into animal, Trevor really stepping out like a nice bass led jam and kind of continually looping over to the same sort of little pocket, and the animal kind of continued that, and then moving into the next sort of segment. I thought the Echo too, it had like a nice section, and then we made that transition into Run Through the Jungle, and then once we finished the song, it kind of just kept that Echo jam going, very driving, like you said. It sort of hit a double time little moment, and like really heavy bopping drive, and then it kind of felt like, though, throughout, I remember watching that segment of the show back up on the loge section, and was kind of talking to people around. I was like, feels like they're going to go back into Echo here. It just sort of had that landing and space we saw throughout with the themes of finishing songs. But yeah, I think that those two, both the whole sort of half of the second set, first half, had continuations of the jams, like with the originals in the covers.
Themes.
So that was good. I really liked that, and I thought the highlight of the set in terms of those two moments.
Yeah.
Not a ton to add there for me. I actually, the second set, just got done listening to that before we got on the pod here. The Echo intro, like, finished, like, when it was finishing and transitioning, like, got, like, super, like, aggressive. And I was like, oh, wow, where's this going? So, like you said, D, with those themes, like, continuing that sort of feel going into the cover. You know, and here we are. There's not, like, an intense number of jams that we're here analyzing. But I think there's a skill in that to be able to play a set like that and to be able to transition from one song to the next and really make it feel like that cover is not only part of the song, but it's also its own sort of independent thing at the same time, which I think, like I said, I think there's a lot of skill in that as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then Echo wraps up and we hear a message from the ship computer. Life form detected.
Life form detected, yeah.
Bruce Hornsby. Which was crazy that it actually happened. We had heard rumblings that there was going to be a sit-in, and this is something that people have been joking about on Twitter for a while now. Shout out to, I think it was Wally had about
Wally
it,
hit it,
and Connor, our niche friend, he had a good one a couple of weeks ago. But wow, it was amazing that Bruce Hornsby sat in on The Way It Is, and it was cool watching when he came on stage and he did that amazing intro to The Way It Is. I just loved watching the band watch Bruce.
Yeah,
captivated. They were just like, that moment. Everybody, Peter just sitting over his shoulder, like, and then even stopping playing either organ or vibe and just watching. Bruce. That was like. Yeah, it was, they were definitely in awe. And I think they're always so humble and appreciative of these people that come on stage with them, the various guests that we've seen over the last few years. And, it's, they're definitely so grateful to be able to have some of these, massive artists that come and appreciate their music and a song that they love playing and got to share it with him. So,
that man has chops. He's going places if he keeps at it. But in all seriousness,
he's played Hampton before a couple of times.
A couple times. I might have one of those shows on vinyl. I don't know. So again, the way I feel about it is I love Bruce Hornsby. I would probably go pretty close to saying he's an idol of mine in terms of modern piano playing.
Vinyl purposes?
And not necessarily. I'm a huge fan of his. I've seen him with the Noisemakers a couple times. I've seen him played solo shows, just him and his piano. And I mean, he just rips. He's super talented. One of my debriefs after the show, and I'm not much of a crier, but one of my debriefs after the show was a moment that actually I teared up because it was so cool to see, again, like you guys said, a hero of the band, not only playing with them, but also like a hero of mine watching, him play with a band that also I consider, kind of heroes in terms of, being positive and all the cool people and the community and all sorts of things. And it was probably the highlight, I would say the highlight of both shows for me.
Nice.
Amazing. Love it. Kevin.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good exchanges too. Like Bruce got to sing some lyrics. Rick and Bruce trading off solos. It was fun. It was good.
There was attempts.
And the crowd.
And there were attempts at harmonies back there. Some of it worked, some of it not so much, but it was cool to hear them just trying to do music together.
Yeah, and I think that was another example. Like you saw a guy from Barstool Sports shouting out, like, this was sick. Like it's cool that the band posted the video with Bruce and was already making the rounds on social media. And like, those are just those crossovers where you're like, oh, wow, this person that's, big, quote unquote, in social media world, likes Goose. And this band is reaching these masses. We saw it with Bert. We saw it with sort of these other people in our world and society. And so,
maybe we'll see it with Bob. Do you remember pre-show Bob? We should shout him out. That was an awesome meet.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shout
How
out
cool
to
was
Bob
that?
and Joanne.
Shout out to
Bob and Joanne.
That was awesome.
Friend of the pod.
Was
Very
awesome.
good friend of the pod. We love Bob. We love Bob. It was who was it from Barstool? We have a question.
Big Cat.
Big Cat.
Big Cat.
Who's a noted big jam band guy.
And he's local to Chicago too, so people were even like, "Oh, are you coming to the next Chicago show?" and stuff like that.
We'll see. Maybe he'll be there.
Yeah.
After Bruce, we get a set closing Empress Jungle Boogie Empress and an Arcadia encore. This Empress sandwich was awesome. This is one of those things also. Empress is always so much fun. Again, in an arena setting, great song for a big space. And then, they drop out of the song. It's pretty clear immediately that they're going into something because, they don't start the Trevor bass solo. And one thing that they really had, they didn't have to do it, but they did it because it was hilarious and awesome. It was Jeff playing guitar during Jungle Boogie. I love that they did that. It's like, sometimes it's like, like the previous times where he's played guitar, there's been somebody sitting in on percussion on his rig. He was just standing in his rig with the guitar, did the iconic gong hit at the beginning of the song.
Yeah.
This is another cover I hope we see again from Goose because this was amazing. Similar kind of groove to Animal. We had some nice teases in there during Peter's clav solo, which obviously I also loved. But this is such a fun song. Everybody was getting down, if you will. But this was such a great way to close out the set. Thank you, Kev. This is a really good set piece to have during the pod whenever we start talking about things. And then the Arcadia encore, much like Goosemas 8 at Mohegan, this was the choice for the encore. It made sense over Traveler's Elmeg, to be quite honest. This is
Send It Off in Style
song. This is it. Yeah. We had a huge peak, some great interplay with Rick and Peter early on in the jam. The confetti. It was just a hugely celebratory moment. Closing out an incredible year for the band. Their biggest headlining sellouts to date. SPAC had a higher attendance, but obviously was not sold out. So this show on Saturday was their biggest headlining sellout with 10,000 people in attendance. So really, really cool. But this was an incredible way to close out the run. What did you guys think? Kev, you go first here. Empress Jungle Boogie, Empress Arcadia.
I thought it was an amazing way to end the show. Energy wise. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And we're talking about, Hampton being a 10,000 seat venue. There were more than a few times, and I hope everybody did this and just stopped and watched what Getty was doing, for one. For two, just took in the vibe of all, 10,000 people there. Man, it felt, and again, this is going to sound totally cliche, but it felt like we were all connected to be able to look up and see that many people. It didn't seem as big as it was. It is sort of my commentary on it. But I thought it was an excellent way to end the show, especially the Arcadia encore. I am a Traveler's Elmeg stan here, but you're absolutely right that this was not the place for it. And I'm absolutely happy that they went with Arcadia, and it was an amazing peak way to end a 2-night run at Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I too, same thing. Perfect, fitting the Empress theme with the jungle fit and sort of the lyrical plays. Feels like when I paint the picture of that song in my head, it's like a city setting, but kind of jungly and sort of in that space. So that made sense. I even we caught a little shared clip of Ryan, I believe, jamming to Jungle Boogie the night before,
which
was kind of fitting, that without any idea that this was coming.
It was around
captured and
it was around 3:30 in the morning in someone's hotel room at the embassy. And shout out to Nooch, who took a video of me
maybe
vibing
he knew, of course,
to Jungle Boogie. It's great.
Yeah, so that was cool. I thought. Ending it, cut off the bass solo, come back in with the bass solo and the song. And the Arcadia was great too. Or maybe even not with the Empress bass solo, but either way, I thought I got down to the floor again and experienced the end of the show with you guys. And same thing, I think it was just a moment of appreciation for, the last few years and the community we've created. And I think, can pick holes. I can always overanalyze and say, oh, I wish they would have had some bigger jams or not done as many covers, and it's just sort of, but I can always complain about something, right? So it's just like, I think overall the gratitude and appreciation that I have to be able to experience this is way greater than, and will continue allowing me to chase, oh, I just want that next song, right? Like that's why we keep going to these shows. And if it sort of was, quote, the best show ever, then kind of leads you to say, well, when am I going to even get better? So it's sort of,
well, and realistically, they played 2 really good shows back to back, and they left out some pretty big bangers that didn't get played. They left out Thatch. They played Dawn, but not SOS. We got Turbulence. We got Rock. We didn't get Rockdale. We didn't get Madhavan. They left out Travelers and Elmeg. So to be able to do the 2 shows that they did, leaving all those big bangers on the shelf, I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm. We did have a great question from the chat here from Came to Play. Should they go back to Hampton next Goosemas? Yes.
I'd be fine with that.
3 nights in Hampton next year, please.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it too, like just kind of one more piece aside is like, it felt really cool to have everybody so close in that area. Like, I think that was nice to have. Sometimes when you go to a show, or if it was in Denver, for instance, First Bank was away from the city, everyone's in the city, you're spread out throughout a big city, and your friends might be 20,
Red Rocks
40
even,
minutes
in
away.
October.
Yeah, exactly.
We all split up after the show. Here it felt like, to me, it was like camp. Everyone was
go get to
within
hang
like
out
a
after.
10-minute walk of the venue. And we were all just hanging out with each other all day and after the show. And it was amazing. Ryan Legvold, honestly, the community was the best part of this Goosemas.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree. It was amazing to be with so many friends. But yeah, Ryan Molnar, biggest miss of the weekend, no onstage slapping of Vickers by the band. Agreed. Missed opportunity
there.
Missed opportunity. Maybe next year.
It was. I would definitely. It's interesting to see if they're going to use a space. I mean, who knows? In a couple years, I think we've all guessed that they might evolve into a bigger space a little further up the coast on the East Coast. But I would. Yeah, I think it would be a great place to go back to. I know they have the seats behind the stage. They threw up the curtain for sort of the backdrop for Getty, but technically they could get another 2,500 people in there. So I think if obviously they did it next year, they'd probably figure out a way to make it work for more tickets, because I think more people would come. And like you said, who knows? Or just do 3 nights. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a great experience. It was my first time at Hampton, and judging from the posts that I saw from different people regarding getting into the place, how old it was, like, thank you for setting my expectations so low, because Hampton exceeded those expectations in spades. The bathrooms were easy to get to. Yes, they were old, but I waited in line, but it moved. Getting to merch was relatively easy. Yes, it was old inside, but everybody felt together. It was a true arena. I could look across and see everybody. I could see everybody, in fact, from just about any vantage point. So thanks for setting my expectations so low. It was very easy to exceed them.
Yeah, it was truly, truly amazing. And just again, thank you to Goose for putting on such an incredible weekend, an incredible year. Getting to see 35 shows this year was incredible and insane. And I very eagerly await the first batch of 2024 dates that we will hopefully be getting soon.
Seems like a break's due. I mean,
oh, for sure. I just want to know when the next time they're playing is. If they announce that our next, we're not playing until Northlands, but here's 2 weeks of dates in June, I'm okay with that. I just want to know.
Yep. No, I think it sounds like spring, whether that's April, May, or obviously June for some of the festivals that take over. But yeah, it seems like that's where it's heading. And as we talked about on Saturday, on the day after, it's, I think they deserve it. Want to get into the studio a little bit more probably for their new record. And they definitely deserve it after such a last few years coming out of COVID. They've really worked hard to push their name and grow their brand. And
there's a lot of us that need a little breathing space to financially recover from this. I mean,
hey,
some people buy a lot of merch,
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be good. And I think it's always nice. allows you to appreciate it more. It's not an oversaturation by any means. You saw 35 shows like you saw, and when we love somebody, a band this much, it's easy, and there's a want to do that. But that distance makes the heart grow fonder, as they say.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to the end of this recap of Goosemas. But just because Goose is done playing shows for the year doesn't mean that we're done being huge nerds about Goose. No, it is just beginning. It is #Blame Vickers season. Let's get some Blame Vickers in the chat, please. Get excited. But as of this morning, seating is officially open for the 2023 Goose Jam of the Year bracket. And it is easier than ever to get involved. No longer will I need to spend 18 hours copying spreadsheets to send out to people. But this year, there's a very nice and handy Google form. Shout out to good friend of the pod, Adam. We've got him here in the chat, blaming Vickers. He was a huge
Thanks,
help
Adam.
with coding this amazing, spreadsheet seating document that we're using this year. But all you have to do is drop your Nugs playlist link in to this year's bracket. Is powered by nugs.net. We're excited to be working with them as well. More news on how voting and everything is going to work will be coming in January with the reveal of the bracket. But right now, your concerns over the next 3 weeks of the year before December 31st, rank your jams, put them in a playlist. You got to rank at least 32 and no more than 64 to get your playlist into.
Otherwise, we're cutting them off.
Bracket. Oh yeah, we're cutting them at 64. If you give me a 100-song playlist, I'm cutting them.
Yeah.
But
and it should also go in and delete your songs too.
Yes.
It should also be said too that as you're getting your playlist ready, you should also maybe get your drafts ready to blame Vickers. Just have those ready to go. His DMs are open, I think, right now.
Oh yeah.
So if there are already
HR.
complaints about how this is being rolled out or how it's being handled, please slide into those DMs.
Yeah, and if you're struggling to rank jams, #Ask Vickers. We'll be hosting some Ask Vickers segments over the next couple of weeks. For people to get some help on their rankings and as they put this stuff together. So keep an eye out for that. But we're really, really excited about the bracket this year. So you have until December 31st at 11:59. Head over to ryanstorm.substack.com. I'm going to drop the link in the chat as well to submit your seeds. There's a nice Google form, very, very easy to fill out and get involved. We want as many people as possible. I believe we had last year, I think it was 50-something people who ended up submitting seeds.
Let's get 100.
Let's get 100 this year. I'd love to see 100 playlists get in. We've already got a few rolling in from some people we know who have been keeping track all year. But take some time, listen, rank them. We want your opinion to be a part of this, and we will be coming at you with a really, really long pod in early January when this bracket does drop. So get excited for that. But from all of us at Always Almost There, all 5 of us. We really want to thank everybody who has tuned into day after shows all year. Doing these the day after every single concert that Goose has played has been so much fun, and we look forward to continuing that in 2024. But it's bracket season. Get excited, and so we'll see you guys out there on social media, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks when the bracket starts. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.